Have you ever noticed that some people who care a lot about being thin seems to have a harder time losing weight? No, it doesn't happen in every case, but there's some truth to the idea that putting thinness on a pedestal can drive certain not so healthy eating behaviors. Think yo-yo dieting. And ironically, those very eating behaviors can make it harder to meet the thin ideal. This isn't just speculation, by the way. It was actually the basis for a new study published in Obesity. The researchers wanted to know, does value in thinness as an adolescent make a difference when we become adults? Turns out it does, according to the scientists' finding. My name is Jeremy Colon, and this is The Dark Side of Fitness, episode 15. How the study worked. This paper looked at a group of women who had been studied from the ages 9 to 19, starting in 1987. By the time this study rolled around, there were women ages 37 to 43. The researchers took info like the women's drive for thinness, which means a phenomenon measured on a scale which captures negative emotions, thoughts, and preoccupation with weight, as well as extreme pursuits of thinness, BMI, and eating habits across their adolescence and adulthood, and looked for correlations. In particular, they looked at the relationship between their drive for thinness and reward-based eating drive, RED. Reward-based eating drive is a phenomenon measured by feeling one cannot stop overeating, eating rapidly or mindlessly without perceiving fullness or satiation, and excessive thoughts of food and eating. In other words, they wanted to find out if a strong desire to be thin made the women more or less likely to struggle with compulsive eating. What the study found. The key findings of the study were higher drive for thinness was associated with higher BMI. Participants with high drive for thinness as adolescents were more likely to also have it as an adult. Cumulative drive for thinness, adolescent and adult, was associated with higher rates of reward-based eating drive. The upshot. The researchers say that drive for thinness in adolescents is an indicator that a person will probably struggle with preoccupation with food, feeling unsatiated, and feeling out of control. And based on these findings, they'll probably continue feeling that way as an adult. Remember, of course, these are findings from just one study, and obviously people vary on an individual basis. What's the deal with drive for thinness anyway, you may ask? It sounds so dry and clinical, right? And the way it's measured via a standard assessment that's part of the standard eating disorder inventory is clinical too. But when you look at what we know about drive for thinness from past research, it becomes clear how it plays out in real life. Studies have shown drive for thinness is correlated with dieting behaviors and highly correlated with body dissatisfaction. Let's be clear, high drive for thinness is different from wanting to get in shape. It's when being thin, right, not necessarily healthy, is so important to someone that they're having lots of negative feelings about it. They're probably thinking about it a lot. They're also probably restricting what they're eating some of the time and not feeling great about their body. Oh, and as the research has demonstrated in this study, they're also likely to have a higher BMI. So here are some coaching takeaways from the study. Number 1, attitudes about thinness matter. Folks who value thinness above all else may be the ones struggling the most with their bodies and eating habits. And while this study was done in women, it's easy to see how similar ideas about body ideals may apply to men and non-binary people too. By asking yourself a few smart questions, you can figure out whether this thinner is better mentality is something that applies to you or not. So if any person who wants to change the way their body looks, be sure to ask why and really dig into those questions altogether, non-judgmentally of course. And as always, if you think something deeper is going on, like disordered eating, refer out to someone like a therapist who you can work with collaboratively to help you. Number 2, childhood experiences make an impact. How you grew up thinking about your bodies might influence your behavior now. The bodies you grew up aspiring to, whether they belong to celebrities, athletes, parents, peers, or anyone else, likely still influence what you consider the ideal for yourself today. Simply understanding this can open up a whole new world of compassion and understanding for yourself, especially ones who seem to have what you consider unrealistic aesthetic expectations for their bodies, like the ones who want to be cross-country lean but haven't ran in over 20 years. And for those who are parents, as you are educated on your own childhood beliefs and experiences that may be impacting you now, it also may be helpful to remind yourself that what you say and do around your own kids have a similar impact. Number 3, changing your beliefs doesn't happen overnight. People who value thinness highly aren't likely to have an instant change of heart, but you can work towards the shift in focus away from being thin and towards something more like deep health. It might make a big difference for your health and, most importantly, your happiness in the long run. If you got in this far into the video, I want to say thank you. If you have enjoyed the video so far, please like and subscribe and share with anybody who could benefit from this. So, my last thoughts with this, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with chasing after your goals, especially if you want to get leaner, you want to get healthier. But when it becomes obsessive to the point where it starts to damage our lifestyle, damage our relationship with other people, deteriorate our quality of life, then we have to step back and readjust and realize that maybe the goals that we're trying to reach isn't going to benefit us in the long run. And what I mean by that is the research that I presented in the video is, chasing after the unrealistic ideal of being thin. And being thin for what? You have to ask yourself, are you trying to be thin because you're trying to fit in? Are you trying to be thin so, the opposite sex will like you better? And you have to ask yourself that. It's just like, be very logical with what you're trying to chase, because if being thin it becomes more of a vanity goal versus a very lifestyle, life-changing, altering goal for the better, you have to readjust if that makes sense for you. And probably like what was mentioned in the video, ask yourself why. It's always good to ask the 5 whys. Why do I want to achieve this goal? For what, for the purpose of this. Why is this goal important for me to achieve this? You keep going down and ask yourself the 5 whys, so you get closer and closer and closer and closer to that goal and that aim and that focus that's going to drive you to get there. But always step back when it becomes too much, when it becomes too much of a hassle, when you start to scare people who are around you who are loved ones, and it's just everything else. I think the most important thing is whatever we are trying to achieve it in a progressive, challenging, and positive way. It's never going to do drastic things. Like what was mentioned in the video, you can definitely go back, because a lot of things that we do in this life stem from childhood, what our parents taught us at the table, how we interact with others. It's good to keep those memories in mind, because those values that were taught while we were growing up can be changed, and it can be changed for the better. How you do things now isn't set in stone. Nothing's ever permanent, and that's the thing. We still have a chance to change habits, change the way we do things for the better. And as long as we're willing and able to see through our own selves, our own demons, our own issues, we can change for the better. So above all, do what's best for you in the long run. Becoming healthy really comes from, do I want to be happy, both physically, mentally, and spiritually? Do the goals that I want to achieve are for me and for me only? Because if I have any external factors, like my partner or my mom or my parent or whatever, trying to tell me I need to lose weight, don't worry about that. Ignore the noise. Focus on you and focus on your happiness. Thank you again for watching this video. Please let me know your thoughts or ask any questions below. Happy to help in any way. Take care. Have a great one.